Welcome to the Yogini channel, and my name is Helen, and I want to discuss with you today something that I feel is important in everybody's life, and that is, when in your life have you had a defining moment? So this is really an interesting thing because life can go on day by day, and then just all of a sudden something changes, and that change creates a massive shift in your life. Now, that shift may be energetic, maybe physical, maybe emotional, or it may be two of or all three. So, I wanted to share with you one of my life's most defining moments. And please leave in the comments what may be your defining moment in your life. And perhaps you can resonate with some of the things I've said. So the reason that I'm doing these little video recordings is because I've been asked to. So that's a very good reason. A lot of people that can't come to my studio or can't see me in person want to know more about what I do, why I do it, who I am, and what I can do to benefit you. Now, this is so important because my whole purpose in being here is to benefit you. It's never been about me. It's not about me. In fact, even a yogini is not actually me. A yogini is a type of a goddess or a type of a protectress in the tantric traditions of Nepal and India. So I used the name after a trip to Nepal and was very involved during that time in Navratri, which is actually happening as we speak, and I'm doing a particular sadhana there. But so Navratri is all about the Divine Mother, the goddess Durga. And so the yoginis are associated with all of the goddesses and the whole structure of what's known as the Sri Yantra, great cosmological microcosm of the universe. There you go. We'll talk about that another time. So today, I've got off track. We are talking about your life's defining moments. So my defining moment, the most, I've had many, obviously, because I'm not young. My most defining moment was around the time that I was told that my mother only had a few months to live. Now, at that stage, I was around about 38, 39 years old. And up until that time, I had always had a very spiritual life. I'd been very open psychically, so I had a lot of phenomena. I had great insight. I could see multidimensional, and that's another story also. But that was something that really was very difficult for me because I came from a very mainstream upbringing background, and I was kind of the weirdo of the family, and I kept a lot of things to myself. So during this time, I used to drink and smoke quite a bit when I was in those days. In some ways, I think to actually numb down a lot of the phenomena that I was experiencing throughout my life from when I was born. Anyway, at the time that I was told my mother didn't have long to live, I started to feel very unwell because I was doing the predominant caring for her. My father was also available, but he was an older man, in his mid-70s, and not used to caring for anybody. He was always cared for. So I was the main carer there in that situation. So unfortunately, I didn't cope very well. I started to feel very, very unwell and didn't really know what was wrong with me. I was extremely tired and just very unstable. And anyway, I discovered in short that my issue was that I had extremely high blood pressure, dangerously high blood pressure. Now, the interesting thing to this part of the story is that the cause of my mother's decline was because she suffered through most of her life with high blood pressure. So it was like this light just went off at me. It was like, whoa, this is history repeating itself. So I could have chosen the more victim role and put it down to genetics, inherited behavior and physicality, and that this was going to be my lot. I declined blood pressure medication and decided that there had to be another way for me. There had to be another way. That I did not want to be my mother. As much as I loved her, she had a lot of characteristics that I really didn't want to play out. It was very much a victim type of situation. So I decided then I needed to find some things to involve my life in apart from just my mother dying, caring for my father. I had a husband, I had stepchildren. So I decided to look for a couple of things that I could be extremely passionate about, and involve myself in those things amongst all of this to sustain me. I had two things I decided that I was going to explore. One of them was yoga. Now, I had been involved with yoga from when I was 14, and meditation had always been something that I had practiced on some level. But I never really had any strong teacher or anything. It was just something that I'd kind of picked up from the TV and bought books and followed, and brought in, put down at my, how I felt. It wasn't something I brought really fully into my life. It was just something I did because I enjoyed the practice, but not regularly. So I decided to really involve myself in a regular yoga practice and meditation, and I also decided I would like to start horse riding. I'd never ridden a horse, maybe a couple of times, trail rides and stuff like that. So I decided that, this could be something I always wanted to do. Interestingly, also, and how synchronicities play out once you put that out there, and that was a very definite, defining moment for me. I wanted to start doing yoga as a regular practice, and I wanted to learn to ride a horse and do it regularly. So I was working at that stage in a bakery, and this customer used to come about once or twice a week of an evening at closing time and ask for old bread, bags of stale bread that had been left over. So this particular day, just for conversation's sake, I asked her, what do you do with the bread? And she said, oh, they're for my horses. So I said, you've got horses. I'm looking for somewhere to ride or to learn to ride. And of course I had looked around, and it was a very expensive hobby and not something that I could afford, obviously on a bakery wage. And she said to me, I've got 3 horses and they really don't get ridden much. And I like to ride, but I don't want to ride alone for obvious reasons. So she said, come riding with me. So consequently, I started riding with her. I learned to ride from her because she'd ridden all her life and she was in her 50s. And we rode every week, trail riding up through the bush, which has unfortunately since been totally developed. But in the most amazing places, you could look over the whole Gold Coast from the hills that we used to ride the horses to. So this was a great thing because every week I would then take myself out of this life experience that I was having with declining parents, and I was able to go out into nature, be with these amazing animals, use my body and learn how to, work with the animal and manipulate the riding. And I did it for 4 years. So that was an incredible time of my life. The next thing that was very interesting was that I decided, yes, the other thing was going to be yoga. So I bought a book, actually, and decided to re-establish myself, because this was a time when there were no yoga studios around. Yoga teachers were like, trying to find a needle in a haystack. They just weren't available anywhere. And so I bought a book and systematically worked through every pose in the book for every day for a very, very long time, until eventually I did, many, many years later, found a studio that I went to and worked through. So, but the thing was, once I started this commitment, now I rarely miss a day. Even on, even on the weekends, I would still do it. I would still take this time. Now, the interesting thing was that as I started to do the practice, I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking, not intentionally. It just became distasteful to me. And I became a lot more conscious of what I ate. Now, this interestingly balanced my blood pressure. So I lost some weight, I balanced my blood pressure, and I felt amazing, the best I'd ever felt in my life. I had also suffered up to that point endometriosis, which is a disease of the lining of the womb, all my life since I was 13, and that completely ceased. There was no more complications, no more pain with my menstruation, anything like that. So it had a profound effect on me. It also calmed the fire in me to the extent I was a very angry soul, because I was so misunderstood because of my, abilities to be living in this interdimensional type of scene. So it helped to me to see others differently and to see the world differently. It was a major, major stepping stone for me. And so this is really, the defining moment, is that the yoga, which I still practice every day to this day, yoga, meditation, and of course now those of you who do follow me know that it is my whole all-consuming life, that there's no more I am going to do yoga. It's everything that I do is coming from that yogic perspective of my life. And and it's been a big support, because then it was able to support me through everything else that happened. My father dying, friends passing, dealing with everyday situations in life, in work, finding new jobs. It gave me a sense of incredible trust in the universe, incredible trust in whatever is to be, an incredible sense of surrender. I stopped fighting the world. I stopped fighting myself. I stopped fighting everybody around me, and just went, okay, this is it. This is life, and I'm going to do the absolute best I can with this. And so that was that defining moment for me. And it's still continuing. The journey continues. So think about your defining moments, or maybe you would like to make a defining moment. Maybe you're going through some kind of trauma, some kind of grief, some kind of sense of hopelessness or health issues, and you really don't know where to go with this. Ask yourself, what do I really want to do? Now, I'm not saying go and decide you want to be somebody famous, or, that's another whole story. I'm saying the simplest things of life that are available to us, that we can actually do, something to support you, that you can involve yourself in as a support around you to help carry you through all of the other situations of life, which are not so pleasant, which are not so easy, and there's no escaping those. It's a matter of how we learn to deal with them, how we learn to support ourselves, and then how we can take that, what we have developed within ourselves, and then share it with everybody around us. Because when we heal ourselves, when we come into that full communion with essence of being, then it's an inexhaustible source that we can share with everyone around us. We not only lift ourselves up, we lift everyone around us up. Just as a stone, when you throw it into a pond, the ripples go far. And we are all rippling out of our hearts what we are experiencing in our lives. So we would like to ripple something of love and gratitude and kindness. So I hope this has helped you in some way to look at your own experiences, what you may have done, something similar or something a little bit different, but your defining moments, those moments where everything changes, making that decision that I made, that I wanted to be a different person than my mother. My mother was a great teacher. I adored my mother. But I was becoming her. And I needed to find my own way. I didn't want to be her. I didn't want to be that victim, that sick person. I wanted to be strong, healthy, confident, and happy. So, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.